city of Arvada manages a 3,400 acre system of parks, trails, and open space, and features over 90 neighborhood parks. That's at least one park within a 10-minute or less walk of nearly every resident in the city. One of the crown jewels of our park system is the Majestic View Nature Center and Park, which is located at 7030 Garrison Street, just south of 72nd Avenue. The Majestic View Nature Center features a wide variety of educational programming, interactive exhibits, kids activities, and meeting spaces that help our community connect with our natural surroundings. Karen Miller retired from the city of Arvada after nearly 20 years as director of the Majestic View Nature Center. Under her leadership, more than 300,000 visitors came to the center, and the center hosted more than 6,400 programs. Prior to joining the Majestic View Nature Center, Karen served 15 years with the Apex Park and Recreation District. Karen graciously agreed to meet us here at the Majestic View Nature Center and talk a little bit about her time at the city and her more than 35 years of public service to our community. Karen, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks so much, Ben, for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Great. Well, I thought we could get started by just learning a little bit from you about how you got into public service and how you got your start.
Okay, thanks. Well, actually, I grew up here in Arvada, so I've always felt a connection to our community. I started early on appreciating the outdoors. I love the Colorado environment, and here in Arvada, our recreation district offers so many programs. So as I grew up and was involved in Arvada anyway, as it came time to think about, what am I going to do with my future as I became a young adult, I kind of looked at the things that I love to do, and could I make a career out of that? So I knew people. I had some good mentors, and decided during my college years as well that I could become a professional in recreation, outdoor, environmental issues. So that's what brought me. I worked, with Apex for years and in so many different roles, and was able to provide service to the community in so many different ways. From youth programs to adult programs to every kind of bicycle race there was, bicycle motocross racing. We did 100-mile bicycle, our century ride we did for over 12 years through several different communities. We've done ski trips and just all kinds of things, and that we did environmental camps, and that's what led me kind of into the education piece. So when the city had purchased all of the properties that became Majestic View Park, and through community meetings, it was determined that there should be an environmental education center in Arvada. So that just seemed like such a natural fit for me. So I was able to become the director of the Nature Center and plan and carry that into the future.
Yeah, and so you were able to take the variety of different experiences that you created and had at the Apex Park and Recreation District and kind of brought that variety of kind of similar approach to a variety of programming to this center and to the park as well? Right.
We were able to coordinate, with so many different organizations, within the city, within the rec district and the school district. So we were able to create environmental-based programs, all science-based programs for youth, for adults, and showcase what we have here at Majestic View Park. Over 80 acres of beautiful habitat. We have the lake behind us, Oberon Lake. We're able to study aquatic insects. We're able to study mammals and birds and whatever we can do to engage the public in appreciating their environment more.
Do you have a favorite place in the park or the center? Is there a spot that you always like to go to that is your favorite spot?
Oh my gosh, it is a beautiful park, Majestic View Park. So there are a couple of different places that you just get this overall view of the mountains and the lake. And as you get closer to the lake, you really do appreciate that wildlife, and you can hear the birds, you can hear the insects, and so yes, I would say as you walk down closer to the lake is one of my favorite places in the park.
That's great. So you were with the center for nearly 20 years. And in that time, I was hoping you could reflect back and talk about some of the things you saw change in the community or in our city organization that impacted your work, and it was part of, from your perspective in the natural world and nature programs?
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Well, looking as a whole in Arvada, as a resident of Arvada, and as I've been involved in the community for a long time, I was able to see a lot of changes, a lot of great improvements, a lot of the growth, of course, that has happened over so many years. Some examples of that. Of course, I like to say, wow, we have an environmental education center. Not every community can say that. But other changes that I've seen, I always think about Old Town Arvada. 100 years ago, of course, Old Town was the center. But over the years, it's changed a bit, and to see it come back as this vibrant part of our community is really exciting. I'm thinking kind of Arvada as a whole. The Arvada Center for the Arts and Humanities. What a gem we have here. Again, not every city has such a thing. So I feel like the residents are so fortunate to have that. I look at the growth of the Apex Center as well. I was so fortunate to be part of the conceptual planning of that center. What did the community need as it grew and expanded, and to actually have that large community center, that is such an amenity to the city as well. But then I think about my own department, the Parks, Golf and Hospitality, which is now Vibrant Community and Neighborhoods. I think of the growth there. I think of the expansion of our parks, of our trails, of our open space, and just the planning that went into all of that way into the future.
You can really see how it grew over time, and how now we have an interconnected network of natural spaces and recreational areas that really makes Arvada one of the best and most beautiful communities in the Front Range. So, but I wanted to focus a little bit on the natural areas. Since that's a primary part of the mission of the Majestic View Nature Center, is raising people's connection and awareness of our natural spaces. Could you talk a little bit about the challenges facing our natural environment, our open spaces and trails in the city right now?
Right. And just locally, we can talk about, we do have these great trails. We have some buffer areas between those. One of the challenges is we encourage people to get outside, get healthy, a healthy body, a healthy environment. But then on some days where we've got some pretty serious air pollution, we say, maybe don't go outside today. So we can have the greatest trails in the world, but if we've got traffic issues and air pollution, that is a concern. So we can talk about that locally, but of course worldwide, those are issues that we need to deal with. I think about water in a bigger sense. Water is life. So when we educate about water, we have the lake right here. We can go clear back to our watershed systems. We can talk about the health of water, the water quality. We can do all of that. We talk about ways that people can prevent that. So challenges are pretty big in our world right now, and right here in Arvada as well. And the biggest one, of course, is our changing climate conditions, and what can we do to help this. People talk about the future, but we've been talking about the future for 70 years now about what we can do. So what's encouraging about that is engaging people, and people that come into the Nature Center, they are so aware of a lot of these issues, and they're doing things about it. So what inspires me, some of these kids are so smart that do our programs, that come into the center, and their parents, and we do teach, but we also start conversations, and some of their conversations are so inspiring. They're so aware of what's going on in the world, and hopefully will take us into this sustainable era that we need to go into.
Yeah, that's a very hopeful perspective, and it's one I share, because when you look at our network of trails and open space and parks, that's a testament to the foresight that our community has had. We have the ability to think into the future and make plans, and so understanding the challenges in front of us and adapting our parks and is certainly within our capacity. So and when we talk about the network, the Majestic View Nature Center sort of sits in the center of the city. It's kind of like right there in the middle. Could you talk a little bit about what types of animals what type of ecosystem are we in right here, and what types of animals might people expect to find here when they come to visit?
Right, right. You know, we talk about this park. This park has so many different elements to it. So we can start with the lake itself. So the lake itself is a fairly shallow lake, so it has some warm water fish species in there, and it's got, you know, wonderful insects in there. We've got the whole riparian areas. We've got the cattails. It is a stormwater lake as well, so it does get a lot of runoff in there. But leading right up to the grasses, and then we've even got kind of the elevation changes a bit even into the upper park. So we have you know, some typical Colorado mammals that come through here. We've got the coyotes. We've got the fox. We've got, you know, you look around, there are a lot of cottontail rabbits around here. But the bird life is pretty incredible, only because we have, you know, 80 plus acres, which is a pretty good amount of land to support wildlife. So we have quite a diversity of wildlife here. It's one of the better bird watching areas in the city and in the region, because we do have such a variety of landscape here. So yeah, people do come to us to learn all about you know, wildlife habitat. We've got a lot of different habitats around here as well. You know, we do have some invasive species, but we've got some natural grasses. We've got some, we call it remnant prairie grass, you know, from you know, 200 years ago, kind of part of our landscape as well. So we do a lot of studying here of the life.
Great. I think I've seen a few turtles out in that lake before,
and the turtles.
too, so that's my favorite. But,
the turtles on the log.
You mentioned the department that the parks department's in now is the vibrant communities and neighborhoods, and that's one of the focuses of the city and of our city council at a strategic level, is creating vibrant community and neighborhoods through a variety of different programming. I'm just wondering if you could talk a little bit about how that strategic focus and impacted the work you did, and how your work contributed to the overall goals of our community.
Right. So as we started the Nature Center, really from a beautiful property that we owned, there were a lot of community meetings that went on that, you know, that was determined that there should be an environmental education. So of course that became one of the city goals as well. You know, they heard from the community that you know, to make this vibrant community, you know, what are all of the elements, and that, you know, that was determined that could be one of them, and a lot of support from the neighborhood and the community. So as we, you know, went ahead, you know, building our business plan, building the Nature Center, you know, even creating some of the displays in the Nature Center, you know, how does that follow some of the goals? You know, we created a master plan. You know, we've got the full city comprehensive plan. But during the creation of all of this, you know, we set some pretty good goals, and I feel like we've been aligned with those goals. You know, things change as they should over the years, but really to focus, to engage people in their own environment, you know, the health of their community has really kind of stayed constant through all of that.
That's great. When you think about all of the programs and projects that you've worked on in the city, what are one or two that really rise to the top that you're most proud of?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've just been so proud to be part of the team of individuals that make up the city, because the city itself is, you know, it's a wonderful place to be overall, and then working for the city of Arvada and the residents has really been a pleasure of mine. Some of the favorite things, one of our biggest programs that we've done at the Nature Center is called our Elementary Exploration Program. That would be our field trip program. So we have had tens of thousands of students, elementary students, come through the Nature Center, and again experience all of those things that we had talked about, you know, hands-on in nature. You know, right in the middle of Arvada, we've got this beautiful area. So for kids to come in and look around and look up, we always tell them to, you know, look up also, look down close. For that many kids to experience that program, you know, I'm pretty proud of that. And we haven't been able to do that alone. You know, we've had so much support from both within the city and also several other organizations. I think about one of our main funders of that is SCFD, the Scientific and Cultural Facilities District. For years they have been contributors to that specific program. Also, Jefferson Outdoor Foundation, they've provided bus money for certain eligible schools and covering program costs. So yeah, to hopefully impact that many kids and their teachers and their chaperones, that has been one of the biggest programs that I am proud of.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So Karen, you talked a little bit about partnerships, and it makes me think about how even within the city, nothing happens in a vacuum. We have parks that are part of vibrant communities and neighborhoods, but we also have a focus on infrastructure, community and economic development. One of the things that you can't help but notice when you come to the park is how easy it is to access off of 72nd Avenue. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about that construction project and kind of how that impacted the park when that was completed.
Sure. Many years ago it had been determined that 72nd Avenue would go through, would be a thoroughfare. So it did impact our park somewhat in that both of the canals are now on the north side of the road, but as they built the road, they also built mitigation areas. Wildlife could now come underneath of 72nd down into the park. What 72nd also did was it made our park a little more visible. So our big sign says Majestic View Nature Center and Parks. So you can access that right from 72nd Avenue, a nice beautiful parking lot there with a demonstration garden as well. And then you can also, see the park and then come in from the entrance off of Garrison. So that did make us a little more visible. We like to think that we are somewhat of a hidden gem as well, though. It's a nice balance in between there.
Well, I can say working closely with the Majestic View Nature Center team, as a member of the communications team, we're trying very hard not to keep it a secret. We want people to be aware of how beautiful this place is and have people in our community enjoy it. So hopefully the other types of infrastructure improvements and things will continue to benefit our parks moving forward. Talking about the team, though, that's one of the themes of our conversation has been appreciation for the community, the people you've been able to serve, as well as the people you've had a chance to work with. I was wondering if you could share a little bit more and reflect on working with the team that you have here at the Majestic View Nature Center and the broader city team.
Right. So our team, I can't be more proud of the Majestic View staff, the Majestic View volunteers, the Majestic View instructors that we've had over the years. So we have a talented group of people. We've hired people with the skills that we need, people with skills, with backgrounds in science, with environmental education. So those people are giving out great information. Again, our volunteers, I mentioned that they are the lifeblood of our nature center. A lot of them are educators, so they've got a wide skilled background. So we also have, we have a director, assistant director, many instructors, and so I feel that I'm leaving this place in great hands. And Anna Hoover is our new director. She's been with us for years, and her skill set is amazing. So yeah, taking this into the future, I'm very excited about.
So what will you miss most about serving the Arvada community?
Well, it would, of course, go back to the people. Mm-hmm. We have had so many people come in. I mean, this is in a neighborhood. So a lot of the visitors that come in, they're neighbors. They are our volunteers. They are people that we know. So we've had educators that have come in. But one of the main things that I will miss are our volunteers. Our volunteers are the lifeblood of Majestic View Nature Center. They are the ones that help educate, they host, they talk to the public, so they are so involved. We still have a few. We had a good strong core of volunteers right when we started, 20 years ago, and we still have some of those same volunteers. Over the years we've grown and we've added to that, but I think that there's such an investment with a lot of the volunteers. They're happy to be here. They want to engage people also in our environmental messages. So yeah, the people would be the main one, but also this beautiful park. But I'm a resident of Arvada, so I get to come back when I want to.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, do you have any other things you're looking forward to in retirement, exploring, anything in particular?
Well, thank you. What what I'm still excited and even amazed about, I have the summer off. I've never had a summer off, I think. You know, when you work with the public and with youth and with adults too, summer is a great time to, you know, to plan programs and activities. And so I'm kind of enjoying my own time for right now. And, you know, a lot of family time in my retirement that I'm looking forward to. Many trips, you know, already. But enjoying this great outdoors that, you know, before I had to make sure and, you know, plan ahead more and make sure that, you know, I didn't have a lot of other big things going on. But to kind of, yeah, have my own time is pretty exciting. But yeah, at some point I'll be involved in the community again.
That's great. Well, my last question is really just about listening to you talk about all the wonderful and exciting things you've been able to do. It sounds like you've had a lot of fun in all your years of public service, but I was hoping you could sum it up. I mean, what has it meant to serve the Arvada community in different capacities over the years, and just reflect a little bit more on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel so fortunate that I have been able to do this for so many years. You know, some people have jobs that it's hard to get up every day and go to, but can you imagine, you know, driving into a park and your office overlooks the lake, and you get to visit with your community members, your own neighbors, as I am a resident of Arvada as well. So being able to serve people and hopefully make an impact in their lives, hopefully make them think, hopefully you know, make people be a little more mindful of just how they live their everyday lives, you know, realizing how that affects everything around us. So I'm just so thrilled that I was able to have the opportunity to you know, work in public service for all of these years. It's been very rewarding for me.
Well, that about wraps up our conversation today, Karen. I want to thank you again for joining us today, and thank you very much for your more than 35 years of service to the community. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed our conversation today.
And I also want to thank the team at the Majestic View Nature Center for hosting this wonderful conversation today in a beautiful backdrop. I want to make sure that you know that you can learn more about city programs and services on our website at arvada.org. You'll find a wealth of information, including about our parks, trails, and open space there. You should also know that the Majestic View Nature Center recently launched a brand new website, which makes it very easy for you to learn about programs and events coming up. Karen mentioned volunteer opportunities. If you're interested in volunteering for the Majestic View Nature Center, go to their new website and learn more about those opportunities. Please also consider following us on social media, and you can find the latest opportunities to provide input and feedback on city programs at Speak Up Arvada. Finally, don't forget that you can watch live City Council meetings and other city programming on Arvada's Channel 8, and you can find recordings of those meetings as well as other videos that our team has developed at our YouTube channel. Thanks very much for watching.